All right, this is Mudita Heart here.
I'm somewhere back here.
Get out of the way.
This is PRpHD.
And we're here to talk about The Flash 2023.
Not to be mistaken with The Flash, CW, The Flash, the game, like a TurboGrafx or whatever. The Flash, USA Network, or Hanna-Barbera, or the comic books.
There's a lot of flashes.
There's a lot of flashes.
Yeah, and there's a lot. There's I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to say any spoilers for this movie either, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is a non-spoiler. Speaking of which, this is a non-spoiler review of this movie.
Yeah, hopefully we get through this fast.
Yeah, it's very hard to do a non-spoiler review of this movie.
Because everyone talks about.
Everyone's talking about it and blabbing about it. They can't stop talking about it. The trailer.
Shut the fuck up, please.
The trailer spoils a lot about this movie.
It doesn't even spoil that much of the movie, actually.
It's also very hard to watch this movie without knowing what's going into it, because it's a complicated plot and there's a lot of backstory and stuff, and it's kind of hard thing to talk about, but we're gonna try our best to avoid no plot stuff, no trailer review
Even
stuff.
It's been a couple of weeks after the movie got released, and probably everyone's watched it, and no one's watched it, and whatever.
Yeah, we'll do our best for this non-spoiler review, and then we'll get to the spoiler review,
which is what everyone wants to watch and
talk
about it completely.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the cameos, of which there are a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's fair enough to say there's a lot of cameos, which I think was one of the appeals of this movie. Yeah. Even cameos upon cameos without realizing there's even other cameos or whatever and stuff like that.
It sort of felt like
they're just stacking. How many more cameos can we fit
start with that, right? We can talk about the cameos without talking about who they are, right?
Yeah, sure. I don't know what you mean by that exactly, but I think there's.
We won't say who they are, but we'll say how ridiculous the cameos were.
Yeah, we can talk about that, and then we're not going to talk about even who the main characters are, because we don't want to give away plot points and stuff.
And that's
yeah. But main stuff we want to talk about is our experience, how we went into experience watching this, and then general stuff about how it's presented, the storytelling, the visual effects, the grounding of the story, the audio and criticism. So just to give you hints as to why this is maybe watchable or unwatchable, things you might like and not like about the movie, and things that we enjoyed and didn't enjoy, without getting into why somebody would enjoy this movie versus not enjoy this movie, before even having watched it, basically. So I think that's the angle we're going to take, and we were doing a lot of messaging on the bus ride back from the movie theater. We're in New York. We have a good public transit system. Although, it wasn't working on the weekend, we had to take a bus instead.
I used to hate the bus. On a total tangent, which hopefully doesn't go too far, and I want to save time.
Yeah.
I used to hate taking the buses because they were so slow, but they've gotten so much faster. I don't like the mayor, but it made me be we're just something so much transportation has improved so much better. I don't know, right now I don't like the scenic route as much as I did. When I was a teenager, first thing in public transportation, I always went the express route, now I want the scenic route when I go from New York City.
Yeah.
And that reminded me when we went to watch Spirited Away live and this experience too. I just appreciate bus rides now.
In general, public transportation is kind of fun when you're going to something you're looking forward to or coming back from. It's not fun when you're doing it to go to work or come back from work.
Part of streaming, I appreciate just walking around places now.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the pandemic also. Yeah, it's just good to see stuff.
It's nice when you're just walking around to look at the neighborhood and stuff like that. And we got to do a little bit of that. So yeah, just to start off, how did we experience this movie? We saw it in the theater. We saw it out kind of a nearby theater. We took the train. We took the bus. We had some snacks and stuff. And we also got this under Regal Unlimited. So
Crown Club or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, Regal Unlimited is the it's it pays for itself. It's $23 a month, $24.99
Depends what kind of prime viewing. That's when you get your money back right away. Yeah. If you do matinees, it takes a little slower.
Yeah, and we thought we figured it out because we watched Shin Kamen Rider earlier this month.
And I think you got the points for that still in your account, right?
Yeah, we got the points, but unfortunately it did not count towards the unlimited tickets because it was a special event. So we had to pay for that ticket. It did not count. But all the big blockbusters, like stuff like what we watched Elemental right before this, and then we watched The Flash. That's another thing we should mention.
Yeah.
So we did this doubleheader, and we were gonna watch Asteroid
I
City.
didn't have a lot of sleep either, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, that was a big part of it too. We had to get up
Those
early.
boneless wings were great.
We had boneless wings at the theater. Pretty good. Not too
Very
expensive.
filling.
Not
How much
too
were they,
expensive.
by the way? I forgot to ask you.
They were like $6.50,
$6.50?
something like that. And then we got 10% off. So-
Movie theaters have like the best deals of food now. Like, you can't find a better deal than that. They're running McDonald's out of business here.
Yeah, McDonald's is pretty expensive. Stadiums are pretty expensive and stuff.
It's like $18 a stadium.
It's like $9 for a Big Mac now.
I went to the stadium last night. They did decrease the price from like $21.16 for like, it was like a small fries. The burger was very meaty like the last time, but like, it's still not a big meal, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
I shared it with Dan also. Yeah.
Anyway, we tried to have a movie theater experience with this. Also, like, so we had meals and stuff, and we got a double header here. We spent a weekend. It's a weekend. We watched 2 movies. It was a nice experience. We went out, got some sun. It was
I would say I already
weather.
succeeded having a good weekend, yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty sweaty weather today, but we got the AC in the theater.
Yeah.
We got some sodas.
Yeah.
It's kind of expensive, but like,
Oh, the soda was expensive.
yeah, but the tickets were, the soda was like $6
That's not bad.
for small.
I mean, that was really a small.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Yeah,
But,
there was like a gallon in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it broke my,
It's like this.
It
It's
broke
like a
my
jug.
it broke my coat holder.
Yeah, but it was I don't know. We tried to have a good time. We wanted to have like these are movies where like you have popcorn with them and stuff, and we tried to create that kind of experience. Some people when they're like critiquing a movie, they're like, oh, we gotta like think really intellectually and academically about this. But we tried to like experience this like as fans of these things and stuff like that.
I thought I did that, but I still was having fun with it.
Yeah. And of course we're still going to get into the analysis and everything, the film analysis and all that. What else? We don't want to talk forever about the food and stuff.
Yeah.
But also, Real Unlimited, $23.99 a month. Pays for itself after 2 movies a month. So we saw 2 movies today. We're going to watch Asteroid City after Elemental and The Flash, but we were too tired after 2 movies, and we just decided to go home, and we could just come back anytime. And another tricky thing about Regal Unlimited that we didn't know until we figured out is that you have to sign up for 3 months to start, so that really screwed us over. So now we have to watch 6 movies in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
And
well, we got 3 tickets, so I guess
Yeah.
that already paid somewhat.
yeah. And but we only saw 2 movies.
Yeah.
And then the other tricky thing is that
I mean, it's a down payment anyway. Yeah.
The other
Now we
trick-
should
yeah.
go to the next point.
and then it's month to month after that, which is good. But the other tricky thing about Regal Unlimited is that it's like 50 cents to like as a convenience fee to like reserve the ticket and the seat or whatever. So we didn't know about that, and we're still getting charged here. I thought we were already paid. I thought it was free at this point. So it's a little tricky. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
The Flash, that sort of made sense. There's a lot of people in that theater. I thought it was going to be no one, and then gradually more and more people came in.
Yeah.
Elemental, we were like the first ones there, and then there was like a couple and like a family there. Then no one else showed up. Like if you're the first one there and you reserve it, it should be alright if you don't show up or whatever, or you don't get the convenience fee or whatever. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got to reserve our tickets yesterday, and like it looks pretty empty when we're reserving. But I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty. I feel like it's summer blockbuster season. We can watch a lot of blockbusters with the 3 months we have, and then maybe we'll cancel it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, because like they're slowing down the pace of these blockbusters, but like DC's still like rolling like 5 DC films or whatever it is now.
Yeah, and now we have some context for the rest of them. That's the problem now, is that we gotta. I'm into Marvel, and now we gotta get into DC now. We'll probably have to answer a lot of these DC spoiler questions when we get to the spoilers, but yeah. But I guess we'll get into the movie now. So, how do we describe this movie without getting into spoilers? It's very tricky, right?
Yeah.
Let me take like 10 seconds to think about this.
Yeah.
I guess it's a follow-up to other DC movies.
It's
And-
definitely a Flash movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like stuff. I don't think this would be anything to you or anyone who's never read a comic before, but it's like definitely a Jeff Johns like plot.
Jeff Johns? Okay, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay. But basically, I don't want to
It's
give
basically whatever you would do with the Flash as a character, and that's all they've been doing with the Flash as a character.
Yeah. The Flash is somehow going to interact with...
And then you know how it goes. If you've ever done a Flash plot before, you know.
I don't think this is a... I don't know. I'm trying to avoid saying
Right,
the most
yeah.
obvious, big kind of thing that, like, is the basic premise of this movie. Because, like, it's every time you have the Flash, after a certain point, you just gotta do this thing with the Flash, where, like, he just starts encountering other things, and, like, it happens, like, in the... That's all I'm gonna say.
This
It's
is
like,
the whole YouTube era of,
Yeah.
and the Warner Brother purchase of DC and everything.
yeah, this... Basically, the Flash is on this plot where he has this personal journey to, like, I
Oh,
don't
you can
know.
talk about that. Yeah, you talk about, like,
Yeah. The
that kind of stuff that has nothing to do with that stuff, yeah.
The Flash is on a personal journey to, like, kind of, like, right or
He
wrong.
has a tragedy,
Yeah.
and then he feels bad about it, and, like, he's dealing with it throughout the film.
Yeah, he's trying to right a tragedy that happened, and in doing so, he causes a lot of chaos to happen, and he has to try and, like, find ways to undo the chaos.
It's sort of Dark Knight-y to
Yeah.
the Flash, or like even the Flash Begins or something.
Yeah, and naturally it happens in a big DC Comics, like,
If you know
cameo
anything about
thing.
the Flash, yeah.
If you know anything about this movie and, like,
Or the
what's happening
character.
and what their direction they're taking, there's going to be lots of crossovers and stuff, a lot of characters, a lot of cameos, and it just becomes like another, like, Justice League movie of a kind. But you'll see how that plays out and stuff. And it's not the Justice League you might be thinking of, but yeah. And if you've seen trailers, you kind of already know what's going to happen. But if you haven't, then you don't know how.
I watched the trailers, and I was totally surprised, actually.
That's also true. It's
Yeah.
like, I saw trailers and I wasn't exactly sure what was going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, just how it was, like, really unfolding.
And they leaked one of the scenes with one of the characters online.
Yeah, to get into the plot of it, I guess, a little bit, without giving spoilers, is that, like, how it, like, unfolds is, like, wow, these like, events and stuff start to, like, cascade and lead to, like, these future events, and then, like, it just leads to, like, things escalating further and further.
I'm going to say a spoiler that they're not going to understand if they never watched the movie.
Okay.
But if you watch the movie, you'll understand the spoiler.
Okay, so feel free to skip forward, like, 30 seconds if you
Yeah.
don't want to hear this,
You
yeah.
want to time it?
I don't know, just do it, and then we could put it in the
I can always edit it out.
we could put in the timestamp for the YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So-
basically a Back to the Future movie. What do you think about that? Without saying
I
too
was
much.
trying to avoid saying any, like, time travel stuff in general.
I
Well,
guess, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah.
We could
Anyway.
edit it out, I don't know.
Anyway. We'll figure it out. Yeah, hopefully you skip that. Anyway, so, yeah, that's a great way of putting it without getting into it too much.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's
Does that mean the Flash is going to kiss his mom?
Shut up. Hey, why?
The mom's got the house for me.
Richard, you gotta chill. Alright, anyway, let me see. How we watched it, visual effects, storytelling, presentation. Where do we even want to start? There's a lot of things it's doing here. It's got these cameos and stuff.
I wanted to talk about the cameos without spoiling them a little bit.
Okay.
Some of them are just ridiculous. I won't say which ones they are. There's like 3 of them. I'm just going to say the number. And like, this whole drama going on, and then you have... I can't even say that right, can't I?
Then there's like...
They're really out of place, some of these cameos.
Yeah, it was the one the 3 people you
I'm not going to say what tone it is, but like, it's totally, really makes no sense.
Yeah,
Some of it you have to like, really go into the lore of just like the filmmaking to find out about it, and I don't even know if you remember that one.
Some of it was like... the one I'm thinking of...
The end in particular is like the most ridiculous thing, especially if you heard about like what happens, how the ending ended up happening.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into the spoilers for that one. But yeah, some of the... like, there's a lot of cameos, it's kind of all like surprises because like you're not sure who's gonna show up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that Kingdom Hearts trailer. You never know who you'll run into next.
There's like that meme now where like this is the multiverse of madness that I wanted, and it's Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah. There's like that. Yeah. You never know who you'll run into next. Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
And then like. I'm half expecting Sora to show up with the big shoes and stuff. Seems like we're in Gotham City, Donald. All right. But yeah, it gets pretty ridiculous. It's like almost reaching that point at certain points, a little bit.
But this is a drama, and all that stuff is going on, and it's totally out of place, and doesn't add to the film.
Yeah, there's some stuff I'm like, why is this one here? Well,
and I don't.
Like,
watching it the second time, I was like, maybe this does build to like that whole multiverse thing they were talking about online. But my first read, I was like, this is ridiculous. That's totally not in the multiverse.
Yeah, some stuff is like, this is not in any universe at all.
Yeah.
I think we're thinking of the same one. The guy with the long hair.
Yeah,
and the face.
I don't want to say which one.
Yeah.
The face, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but, and it's like in the moment where they're showing all the other people from all the other ones and stuff. Yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about.
I guess after that point, we should talk about the special effects. Unless you
the special effects and stuff.
There's some colors.
Well,
instead of the sepia tone or the black and white tone, there's like there's a whole color scheme that's like really weird and like doesn't seem like how you would do it if you were doing like YouTube edits from the 2000s, having all these crossovers in them.
Yeah. Before we get into that too much, maybe we should talk about. We talked a little bit about like what the premise of the plot is and stuff. Can we talk about like how they ground the story and then how it like kind of takes them on all these tangents and adventures and stuff like that?
It's tricky to say without spoilers.
I think like the core of this story is a story about like trying to right a wrong by thinking you know what you can do. You like once you think it's in your grasp to like right this wrong, that like you're willing to do anything.
It sort of felt like I think I could say one part or two parts relating to other superheroes, one of which isn't even in this film or universe or franchise, without spoiling too much.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you have to... It's like Spider-Man and Batman where like, with great power there's great responsibility, and when you have a big loss, like you have to try not to use the power or whatever.
Yeah, how do you like,
and like more
how
than
does somebody
one,
grow from that?
like
kind
so
of
many
thing?
characters, not even the main two, like deal with this idea.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I think I think you are getting at like the kind of core of this movie without spoiling it. Is that like it is in its essence a story about like you have all this power and stuff, and you could potentially try to do things that like would like change like. I don't know. You have these superhuman powers that like could right these wrongs or whatnot, but like there's all these consequences they have to face, and this is kind of an eternal story.
Some of this is just like living your own life. Like you can't solve everything.
You can't solve everything,
And like sometimes you'll live your life regretting stuff, and like two of the mentor characters, two of which blah blah blah, say the same thing to him.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it's really hard to learn that kind of lesson, and sometimes it takes a whole series of events for that to happen. And
then at the end, he teaches another character that lesson.
Right. Then yeah, and it's like I just watched this documentary about Spielberg on Max the other day, and Max now. And like this isn't really spoiling E.T. too much. But like the premise
I don't know if there's a spoiler for E.T. Also like I don't know if this generation watches E.T. anymore.
Yeah, I guess it's not like a recent movie. It's like from 40, 50 years ago or something. But 41 years ago.
41 years ago.
Yeah, and there's been a theme park ride that's gone up and gone down. But anyway, like in the documentary they talk about how the core of E.T. like Spielberg trying to like make sense of like something so senseless, where like a child loses his family and stuff. Like how do you like have something that like can kind of like proceed or like help a child recover from a trauma so big like that? and it would have to be something as extraordinary as like an extraterrestrial or something. Yeah, this kind of story is
That's
like
classic storytelling from like the 80s, 90s.
yeah, it's a classic kind of cautionary
Kid
tale.
families stories.
Kids, families, sci-fi, fantastical adventures.
I would say this film goes beyond that, and expands upon that, even with like mythos that have been around for like hundreds of years with these characters.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I messaged you that actually.
Wow.
Destruction.
Yeah. Yeah, because like
even though this film has problems, like there's some interesting stuff in it.
Yeah, this movie has a lot of problems. Like, there's sometimes it's like straight up pandering. Sometimes it's like it thinks the audience is a bunch of idiots or something. Doesn't let them figure out. Just like take a moment to breathe and think like, yeah, we know it's like this character. You don't need to like keep hammering it in. But like, it has a lot of good stuff in it where it's like
I actually didn't know about that. Maybe I have to rewatch it. This is one part Tenet where like he's explaining stuff in dialogue. I'm like, Christopher Nolan, you know anything about time travel, you should know that by now. Or like, it's pretty self-explanatory. You don't need to explain it to people every scene, whatever J.K. Rowling style.
Yeah, you don't explain everything. They do some good explanation in this with how they approach there are certain like laws of physics in this kind of world that they're in. There's a good scene for that with how they do the world building.
It's kind of multiverse stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like a endgame kind of scene, like a.
And it's very interesting because like that way you can use spoiler from.
Yeah. No. It can be used for like a lot of things. How they explain certain things, and it can be used for like further movies and stuff. But yeah, at the core of this movie is like these lessons that are learned. But then they kind of like I don't know. I don't know if they commit to that because like at parts it's like oh yeah he's learning this lesson, but then it's like oh we're just gonna like toss him some good things anyway. So in addition to learning the lesson, he's gonna have a
the ending. I don't even know if that was good.
Yeah, and then like they kind of.
Oh, you mean because of the relationship thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff they kind of cheapen like the lesson learned and stuff. I feel like the lesson learned should be its own kind of. Like then they're like, oh, but here's a teddy bear and stuff too. You know,
it got better my second viewing, but my first viewing, I'm like, they totally screwed up like the original film and like the multiverse and then whatever. And like this film, I was like. It works a little bit, but like not as fluid as it could have been.
Yeah. What do you want to elaborate on that? I kind of following a little bit on.
About what's your question again?
I was asking, what were you saying?
But before that, like that made me say all that.
We were talking about how they explain the physics and world building.
How was the payoff? You were talking about the payoff for like relationships.
Oh yeah. Lesson learned from.
I felt like he did learn something. I don't know if it was like the universe just split off anyway. You've only tried to fix it.
And it kind of cheapened the ending, and I felt like it could have been a really poignant. This really goofy cameo, I was like, "What is happening?" Like I thought we just had an emotional moment.
I feel like,
and then like it seemed like somebody seeing dollar signs. Like we can make a lot of money with this moment right here. Really silly. Like.
When I first watched this, and like everyone knows this because they've heard of the cameo. Like, I was like,
feel free to skip ahead here.
Whoever's running Warner Brothers doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
Okay, we don't have to skip ahead.
And like, if like comic book characters or like people who follow comic book films, like are gonna be upset by this, or like even people who like the movie he was in don't care that much that he's gonna be in it. Like, is he gonna be in another movie? Like, I don't think that's happening.
Just another thing to talk about is like. If you watch no DC movies at all, you're gonna lose a lot of stuff going on.
Or is he someone new? Is that the new leader of the multiverse?
That's how I got confused a lot with a lot of stuff. I haven't watched any of this Snyder stuff. I watched a lot of they go back like 40 years worth of DC.
They go farther back than that.
Oh yeah, they go far. Yeah, they do. And we're not gonna get into how much. But like, yeah, they go.
That. I should edit that out.
I don't know. They might. Well,
there's the one
we won't elaborate.
There's the one you know about, and there's the one.
There's a lot they put in there. Some of it's not that important, honestly, but it's actually pretty fun when you see it. But there's a lot.
There's one that was really bad.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
And like they don't even use like all of them. They use like one character.
Yeah.
There's like a main character, mostly really weird.
But like, yeah, there's like a few key movies that like I feel like I didn't see, like made me like feel like, okay, I'm a little lost here. Is this a new person like never existed before? Like, was this always a thing?
And that's gonna be the reaction of some people who have never watched that or heard of it or whatever. Yeah. And then like, what the heck is going on? Like, are they just trying to create memes or something?
Yeah. Also, is this Flash from previous movies?
Yes.
I wasn't exactly sure of that either.
Yeah. Or what? This is like your first entry in the DC outside of like Shazam 2.
Yeah. What was
Justice League? I think they said he was in Batman vs Superman, but I don't remember it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he in like, I don't know, like
They have Captain Boomerang in one of them, right? Or two of them.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah. Another thing we were saying.
Turn the light on now.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. Another thing we were mentioning is that like we watched Elemental before this, and then we watched The Flash after.
Yeah.
And we mentioned, and we also were gonna watch Asteroid City, and then we mentioned like, you know, in terms of like, should you watch this? Should you not watch this?
Yeah.
We mentioned before recording this like, these 3 movies would be something that would be lost on our parents for 3 completely different reasons.
That's a good point. I forgot what the point is.
Like, Elemental has a lot of allegory and stuff.
That's like college level, like whatever.
Yeah, it's like film literacy and stuff and
that's
whatnot.
Like history and theological.
Sociology and stuff. The Flash Flash has a bunch of like comic book nerd stuff and like sci-fi cameos and stuff. Then like Asteroid City is like
and the timeline.
Yeah. Then like Asteroid City is like, you know, it's like, you know, directed by Wes Anderson.
Which is
so our parents.
One of the most bizarre. most bizarre.
Maybe that would be the hardest one for them to follow.
I felt like after the Flash, I was going to follow Wes Anderson after that. Especially since like how we bought the tickets, like we were going to miss half the film anyway, so we'd be more lost.
Yeah,
more tired.
Yeah, I think we were like. I think we were like. I think the movie was. We did drop into the auditorium it was showing in briefly, and it's like we're like 30 minutes into this.
And we'll be 45 minutes.
Just seeing a huge Jason Schwartzman face on the screen and hearing him talk like in a Wes Anderson kind of way.
Yeah.
I just felt like, I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
This is not gonna work. Anyway, we've been talking for a while.
Yeah.
Great visuals. Overall, great choreography. But some visuals were kind of questionable.
They had like floating flash heads. One of them was on purpose, and the rest of them were like he just green screened off the suit or something. It looked like.
Yeah.
And there might have been some AI, and some of it they should have just used like YouTube editing, but they didn't want to use that old school style, so like they just CGI'd it or something.
Not to get into stuff too much, but it looked like they were using some deepfake stuff.
Some of it didn't even look like deepfake.
And then some of it was like also some
stuff
of it
was just bad animation.
Some CGI looked pretty plasticky. It looked like plastic dolls or something.
It doesn't look like that looked like the spaghetti universe of like Multiverse of Madness or something. That doesn't look like human beings.
Yeah, the plastic dolls in particular struck me during like the first opening set piece, action piece. Then also during like the bubbles scenes and stuff like that, where like I think that's pretty safe to say. But like during those moments of the film, it was like, what is happening? But overall, like the storytelling and special effects, everything was serving the story. So like I was like willing to overlook that because I was like okay, like they're trying to tell a story here. And I also felt like the visuals were like. Bubble scene were like dazzling in other ways, other than like they might look plasticky, but that could have been like a little intentional. could read it off as a little intentional because like it's like in this like really interesting like
Frozen.
multiverse
we
of
probably
like
shouldn't talk about that
Doctor
either.
Strange kind of like way.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
You know, like a Doctor Strange kind of like mirror dimension kind of way or whatever. So I feel like a very like they did a lot of fractal kind of imagery kind of stuff.
Maybe
so.
that's what they did, fractalization or something. Something
Yeah,
like
it looked like fractals.
might be what they did with like Christopher Nolan and the black hole and the wormhole and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
like Interstellar.
Yeah, I think their approach towards like depicting that was pretty novel. Like usually I feel like they depict it with like in like if you see like physics documentaries talk about like a timeline as like seen from like the fifth dimension or something, they often talk about it as like an undulating snake of a person through different moments in time. Here they depicted it as like kind of like a spiral or something. I thought that was pretty like watch it for yourself. It's pretty interesting. So
It's interesting. Some people might interpret it as looking.
it's kind of confusing also. Like
It's
if you don't know what's
confusing.
going on.
It also sort of doesn't look that good.
Yeah, is the plasticiness.
Some people might
detracts
like it.
from
Some people might not. It's very polarizing. I won't say it's bad, but
Yeah,
if you liked it, you like it. If you hated it, you hated it.
yeah. I thought. Yeah,
I feel like if you did like the old school YouTube edits were like,
Yeah,
this cameo's right next to this cameo, I was like, it's fine.
yeah. I feel like Quantum Mania in comparison, the visual effects were like top of the line, and we watched that.
Oh right, when
Yeah.
with and
When
with
the
the
quantum,
that whole thing,
all
yeah,
the
that's
quantum
pretty good,
stuff.
yeah. There wasn't
Yeah.
like any floating Ant-Man heads or anything.
Yeah. MCU was handling that stuff really well.
I feel like Endgame was
Visually.
pretty bad, though, like that final scene, like Pepper Potts as Iron Pepper.
It's really tricky because like MCU is like a whole engine where they have all these like these armies of like visual effects people and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like DC is trying to start this whole multiverse thing now,
Yeah.
but like they only have like this really scattershot kind of like production process. It feels like,
Yeah.
and like they're just scrambling to get funding even. But like somehow they're also trying to cobble like this huge mythos and stuff at the same time. It's very tricky. They're in a very tricky spot right now, and I actually don't know how well this did.
I think it's 30 million the first week. Or
That
first
doesn't-
weekend, yeah.
That doesn't seem that good, right?
That's what everyone said.
That doesn't sound very good.
Post-pandemic, I don't think it's that terrible post-pandemic, though.
Okay, I feel like some opening weekends, if they're like 60 million, that's very good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
100 million is like, whoa. That's like top 10 of the year or something.
Right now, for the whole lifespan, they're projecting it's going to make 300 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
That good, but I guess hopefully it'll lead to like more subscriptions or something.
Yeah.
And also
Ad
also,
money.
Also, like it's a
And it'll be on like cable channels when they rerun it.
Also, they're building a cinematic universe, so it'll pay off
Yeah.
down the line. Hopefully,
Maybe
with
when people
stuff
watch
now.
it on Max, they'll watch the sequels. I'll be that. Hopefully, be enough of a window for that to do that.
Yeah, it's also awkward because like I don't even think Marvel did this quite yet, where they like try to like retroactively fit in past continuity things into the new universe. Yeah, so they haven't done that with like X-Men or
They did do that with
Fantastic Four.
X-Men.
did they do that?
Multiverse,
Not really though.
sort of.
A little bit. They acknowledge that certain characters and
Or
stuff.
certain chairs are there.
Yeah, but they don't have like the full like, you know.
They sort of even do like the weird face thing with the Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, they don't have like, but they don't like acknowledge like this is the one you know of, the whole history of that is in this universe now.
Oh, you mean
And
like
they all,
you mean like the second James Bond where he's like, hey, the other guy didn't do it that way, and then they cut to the credits.
yeah, and this in DC they're like, oh, this is straight up like these are the characters, like you know this.
And
is
they
the
weren't
same
even
icon-
trying. Like that's a bunch of bullshit. Like it
this
didn't
is
seem like they were really set in stone with doing that.
Here's this iconography. We're not getting this. It's very hard to talk about this without getting into spoilers, but like they're using the same iconography.
It's
and,
weird
like,
too because
I'm
like
guessing the same actors
and
and
the
certain
thing-
characters.
and normally when you do that, you give like credits to like the creators of those comics in the middle of credits of the movie, but they didn't do that. Even though I guess they wanted to keep us spoiler free, but normally you do that just because it's like they have to do that legally because of the characters.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is in a very awkward place with this. But I think that as an individual story, like if I kind of like just talk about this, just talking about like the personal journey the character goes on, and like how it unfolds through these like kind of like fantastical ways. Like I feel like that works, and I also feel like the sci-fi works, even if the visual effects is kind of mixed or whatever. But like, the sci-fi is pretty.
Here's the thing: we grew up in the '90s and 2000s. People are like, "Oh, that thing doesn't work," or "that video game loaded too long," or "that game had a glitch." That was our entire childhoods in the '90s and 2000s and '80s and whatever.
Yeah.
Like we had imaginations.
Yeah. Now it's like they're fully building
like visual effects and like that looking not so good.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Now
it works with the sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah. Now visual effects leave nothing to the imagination anymore. Yeah. Now it's like and the sci-fi in this works too, because like I feel like the world building they do is like pretty. Like there's a particular metaphor they use in the middle to explain the multiverse stuff. I think we talked a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was a really good world building piece.
And it really helps for if they want to do stuff.
Yeah.
And they sort of have to because like they're sort of like babies of a multiverse compared to like Marvel at this point. Right. Like they've been around longer.
And it leaves a lot of room for open things to happen now.
Yeah.
It like sets up a lot of stuff and it can go a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
And the ending of this kind of opens a lot of things up.
Also, or does it?
there's like the epilogue ending, and then there's also the kind of climax of the film, which is like how they're setting up multiverse stuff there.
The climax and the beginning are very interesting.
Yeah.
By the time we get to the ending, it's a little rough.
The emotional resolution that the character goes on, and like when they're confronting like consequences and stuff like that, and how it ties into like the consequences of the multiverse.
That's weird.
I think that worked even better.
I
would go as far to say is I think it works better than how it plays out in a Multiverse of Madness for Wanda. I think
Multiverse of Madness is a match. Yeah, this is way better than Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
also,
that's a good way of putting
it's a weird one because like he says, "Oh, I've gone off of this," but you're gonna have a multiverse somehow anyway. So like, how are you gonna do that? How's it gonna resolve everything? But you're gonna get multiverse anyway.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of unresolved things in the ending.
Or they resolve it, but like to have a multiverse, you have to unresolve it.
But like but they kind of leave it unresolved at the end because then they throw in some stuff. So anyway,
and some of it's like probably not gonna be popular. Like the hardcore zone.
So there's a lot of good things about it in the storytelling. There's a lot of criticisms. Also, one last thing: the audio. The audio is great in general. But one particular thing I want to say about the audio: there's a cameo in this, and they really want to remind you this character is in this movie by just using the same musical cue over and over and over. It's obnoxious. It's a little obnoxious. It's like, come on, we know. It's like a tone, and there's moments where it's like a tonal shift. Like it's really dramatic, and they're like, oh, now this character's here again. So, yeah, I don't know. There's things like that.
There's a spoiler in it that's like very comical for them to use the music for, and then
it kind of gives away what's happening and stuff sometimes. I don't know. Yeah.
It's like weird. Like that's the end of that, and then that music, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've gone over time by a lot for this non-spoiler.
It's a lot of fun though, yeah.
Yeah. We'll take a short break and then we'll get into the spoiler review, which will be a lot of fun, I imagine, as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Stay tuned, and we're gonna show a trailer after that, and we're gonna get a spoiler review.
Should we show the? I guess not spoiler. We won't show the trailer. Yeah.
All right. So this is Mudita Hart signing off.
PRpHD. I think you can see my hand out.
Yeah. And happy watching.
Happy watching.
Yeah, should we give it a thumbs up?
Thumbs up, yeah.
And check it out if you.
Just time wise, thumbs up. Art wise, I'd probably give as an art piece. I'd probably give it a thumbs down.
Yeah, it's not high art, but it's very good entertainment.
Yeah.
And makes you feel things, and
oh yeah, there's definitely some dramatic moments. Where
there's some pretty intense dramatic moments, like, and yeah.
Sometimes you film this. Yeah.
Very intense dramatic moments, particularly the journey that the Flash goes on and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, saying anything about the Flash would definitely not be a spoiler because he's in the title of the movie and he's on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it, and happy watching.
Happy watching.
Take it easy.
Easy.